Okay, so I know I did a couple videos about this K-Lite or Kayfun. I think it's like the 3.1 clone. I finally got it to vape really good, and I'll show you exactly what I did to do that. You can see I got the clear tank on. You can see the juice flowing around in there. And what I'm using right now is just 10 milligram the graper. And I think it's an awesome flavor for a grape flavor. Sometimes you strike out, sometimes you get a really good grape flavor. This is just one of those times that you get a really good grape flavor. So I'll show you what the cloud looks like really quick, and then I'll show you, because I can't take apart the tank and show you, I'll basically wrap a coil really quick so y'all can see how it goes. Again, if you're not experienced wrapping coils, don't wrap it. Have one of the guys at the shop wrap it for you or whatever, okay? So here we go. Okay, so that was a mouth inhale. And this is going to be a lung inhale. Okay, so obviously it's not as big as a cloud as a drip atomizer. But it's pretty similar. I find I actually get better flavor with the Kayfun than I do with the drip atomizer. It could be because on the drip atomizer I am running macro coils, dual macro coils. I'm sorry about the lighting. On the Kayfun, I'm actually running a macro coil, but instead of them being, I think, horizontal, they're vertical. So it's straight up and down over the air hole. So basically, what I did here was, this is my awesome little macro coil wrapping screwdriver that I cord wrapped. And then around the top, there's some medical tape that just so the cord wrap had something to kind of bind to. And then around the top, I got it cord wrapped again, and I used a torch and melted it down. Be very careful, because if you ever do this cord that I'm using lights up really fast. So you got to be really careful if you ever do something like this. Again, if you're not experienced with any of this stuff, don't do it. But here we go. A lot of people like to torch their wire beforehand using just a little handheld torch. They basically hold it to the wire, and as you can see, the wire gets really hot. They just go up and down the wire just like that. For this purpose, I'm not going to sit here and torch the whole wire. With Kenthal, it does help with the springiness, whereas with the Rage wire, which I actually used 22 gauge Rage wire on this one right here, just so it got a little hotter and produced more vapor. This right here is just regular old 24 gauge Kenthal. It's just extra wire that I had that I'm going to wrap with, because I don't want to use all my 22 gauge nichrome Rage wire. So basically, if you ever watch online, Rip Trippers or most of the other people always say wrap your coils as tight as you can. And you can see here, I'm not wrapping it really tight. That's because I can clean this up really easily without it having to be really wrapped really tight right now. It just takes a little bit of work and playing with. But if you just grab a pair of pliers here, and after you have it wrapped, this is wrapped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 or 7 times. What I basically do is just grab one end, pull tight here, pull tight on the other one, And bam, I got my coil. It's not, you can see there's a lot of gaps in the wire right now, but that is something that can be fixed really easily after you hook it up and you dry fire it and clamp it down and stuff. Because as you can see right here, it's springy. So torching it kind of will take that spring away. And I'll actually torch it really quick right now. Just because I'm not going to be putting it on an atomizer because I don't have an extra one to show you what the torching actually looks like. So here we go. It's nice and red hot. And then I'm going to take my pliers and I'm just going to squeeze it, and I'm just going to hold it until it really cools down, so that as it cools, it kind of holds its tight coil. And it's going to spring open a little bit, but you can see there's a huge difference in how tight the coil is now versus how tight it was. Alright, so got it nice and hot again. Now I'm going to squeeze and I'm going to hold it tight again until it till it's nice and cool. I'm going to reposition and I'm going to hold it tight again. And I've never done this like this, but I'm going to try heating it up with it in the actual compressed area. Again, be very careful because anytime you do this, the wire gets really, really hot. And the your tool is going to get really, really hot as well. So just be very careful doing this. Make sure everything cools down really good before you touch it. This is no joke because you can get burned really easily. Again, this is not something you should attempt if you're new to vaping or you're just not comfortable doing this, because you risk burning yourself, you risk shorting out your battery. If you're using cheap batteries, you risk blowing them up. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to it. So here we go. I'm going to let go here now, and now look at that spring. That's really nice and compressed compared to what it was. This is perfect. And it's still a little bit warm, but I got really calloused fingers, so it's not that bad for me. So here it is right here. I'm going to fit it back on the screwdriver. And in order to wrap it on the Kayfun, you kind of got to open one of these back up just a little bit. And this, it almost has to be at like a 90-degree angle because of the way that it goes in on the Kayfun. So it goes in just like this, and you have to make sure that when you put the wires into the holes and screw down, that this sits with the inside of the coil perfectly over the air hole, and it needs to be elevated up off of the metal platform so it doesn't short out, because that short will it'll cause problems that could turn out to be catastrophic. So you really got to be careful. Again, can't stress safety enough when you're doing this sort of thing, okay? So now after you get it on, you're gonna have to use cotton, and I'm using this like super organic cotton from Japan. It has like virtually no smell. It's great. It wicks really easily, and it's square, which is nice. You don't have to roll out a cotton ball. You just kind of clip off a small little amount with some cuticle scissors, which I got here. So, and you don't need much when you're doing the Kayfun clone, because there isn't a whole lot of surface area where you can actually put the cotton anyways. Now, I got this cotton. I actually don't know if Vapormeister sells it, but I was able to get a couple pieces from them, and I actually bought some more pieces from them. So, as you can see, I got a nice little supply of them. last me a long time, or it might not, because I tend to wrap coils and change my coils a lot, just because I find this to be like a fun little hobby. So it's basically, after you get it set on the atomizer, it's going to look a little something like this over the atomizer with the leads clipped off. And basically what you want to do is you just wrap the coil around perfectly with the cotton. And you want the top and stuff filled just like this so that the coil is completely covered. Now I find that this doesn't restrict any of the airflow, and while the air holes are really small in this Kayfun clone, you can still get really good airflow as long as you ensure that the hole is not blocked up and it allows airflow straight through. And you get it wicked, or you get it juiced really nice. You have the ends kind of hanging over. That way, when the juice goes up through the reservoir, it touches this wick. And this is such a fast wicking material that it just absorbs and just holds that liquid. And it just works so much better than any other coil that I've tried doing. I've tried doing stovetop coils over the top of the air hole. So this would be the air hole right here. And then this would be the stovetop coil, and you'd basically suck the air, hit the coil, and it would move around and then up and out the mouthpiece. But super restricted airflow. I've tried just having the horizontal coils, but I find this vertical coil over the air hole works the best. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is after you get your coil onto your atomizer, before you wick it, before you assemble the rest of the tank, you want to dry fire it and make sure that the coil glows from the inside out. If it's not glowing from the inside out, you have to recompress and tighten those springs, because it's not going to fire properly. You're not going to get the right atomization of the e-juice, and it can lead to actually combusting the cotton. So you got to make sure you have it glow from the inside out. And all you have to do that is just continually fire it up till the springs get red hot, and then compress them with either your needle nose pliers or I just completely forgot the name of these, but tweezers. So you can either compress them with tweezers, or you can compress them with your pliers here after they're good and red hot, and then you wait till they cool down like 30 seconds or something like that, and it'll hold the coil even tighter. So that's what you want. And then when you get your wick wrapped around this coil and you soak it with your e-juice before you assemble it, you want to fire it, and basically it should come straight from the middle of the coil out, and it'll look just like a chimney stack, or if you look at like tractor trailers and it comes out of the smokestacks, that's exactly what you're looking for. And I think it's actually called the chimney coil, and that's exactly why it's called the chimney coil. And again, this is what the vapor production looks like with it. And then I'm going to go ahead and compare that to my still air dripping atomizer that's running the same juice. So here we go. So it's not the same, but it's still really good. Thanks for your time if you've actually watched this video. And I hope that it was educational for any of you guys who have one of these Kayfun 3.1 clones, or even the just the Kayfun Lite clone, or if you have the actual Kayfuns, this coil will work just as well for all of them. And thank you very much, and have a great day.